What is happening? Welcome to the Somebody Like You podcast, where we are going to talk about the connection between your mental and your physical health. And yes, there is a massive connection between your mental and your physical health. We have a viewer submission of the week this week, where we have viewers of the podcast and my social media channels ask questions, and I pick some that I find to be incredibly relatable because we're all just somebody like you. You're just somebody like me. So we're going to touch on that towards the end of the podcast here. And as always, we have a sponsored podcast by Somebody Like You, Mental and Emotional Wellness Coaching, where we help you on your mental health and emotional well-being journey. We are not therapists. We are not counselors. We are partners in the healing journey, where you may have questions about therapy, about counseling, about specific things in your life. And that is where mental health and emotional wellness coaching come in. We are like tour guides along the tour. We develop personal and emotional connections with each other, where we're able to let each other know that we are here for each other. All right. That is Somebody Like You, mental and emotional wellness coaching. Um, the main goal of this podcast is to help give you practical tips and knowledge of taking care of your mental health that will positively impact your physical health as well. So let's get started. I'd like to welcome everybody who is on YouTube, who is on TikTok, who is on Instagram, who is on Facebook, who is joining me on LinkedIn, for all my business professionals looking at impact and help their mental health. I am so happy to have all of you on the podcast today. If you do not catch today, we will be uploading it tomorrow on Wednesday. So we live stream on Tuesdays, we upload on Wednesdays. So if you can't catch a live recording, it's always nice to listen the next day or whenever you can tune in, because our mental health doesn't have a schedule. It runs at its own pace, but what we look to do is help control it. Not even control it. That's a bad way of saying it. We look to help predict it and provide it the necessary resources to continue to grow and heal. All right. Understanding the connection between mental health and physical health. They're interconnected. And how? Well, let's talk about stress. Stress can cause physical symptoms, right? Your mental health. If you're having headaches, if you're having stomach aches, muscle tension, that's an after effect of stress. So if work's getting on top of you, if relationships are getting on top of you, if just yourself and you're beating yourself up all the time and you're constantly stressing out, it's going to start affecting your physical body. And how do we say that? Through headaches, stomach aches, muscle tension. If you're sitting there, like if you're watching me, you can see me if you're just stiff all day long, you think that's not going to have a physical effect on you. And that's what stress does. They often say one of the leading causes of death is because of stress. So that can come from work, relationships, your own self-talk. So remember, stress is going to play a massive impact, not only on your mental health, but your physical health too. And if you're stressed all the time and your physical health is poor, you know what else is going to be poor? Sleep. Poor mental health can lead to sleep problems like insomnia, which can cause into physical health problems like fatigue, weakened immune functions, an increased risk of accidents. We have two lists right now, right? We got Daniel Brett joining. What has happened? What has happened? We are talking about the connection of physical and mental health. And we talked 2 points already, right? Stress and sleep. If you're stressing out and then it's causing you for lack of sleep and you're starting to have insomnia, fatigue, weakened immune function, how are you going to perform well at work? How are you going to perform well in your relationship? How are you going to perform well for yourself? That's what it comes down to. Remember, our mental health is for us. If we're operating on fumes or an empty gas tank, how are we going to give to others? So we have to remember, fill our tank first. Our mental health is our gas tank. What are you putting into your mental health? And often the more you're putting into your physical health, the better effects it has for your mental health. So what type of things can we do? Physical health to help our mental health. Exercise, right? That's the easy one. Here, I have a little note here. Physical activity has shown to improve mental health by reducing symptoms of anxiety and depression. If you're anxious, raise your hand. If you're listening to this, raise your hand if you have anxiety. Raise your hand if you have depression or if you experience depression. Know someone who has depression. We've all gone through it in one time or the other. Sometimes you don't know the label of things as you're going through them, right? I just told this joke the other day. I didn't know what chapped lips were for a really long time. And you laugh, right? Like, who doesn't know what chapped lips are? I used to say, I don't have chapped lips. I have dry lips. My lips are cracked. And it took me a really long time for some brave soul to finally tell me. That's that's chapped lips there, homie. So remember, if you're not specifically calling yourself an anxious person or a depressed person, remember you're probably experiencing the things that go along with anxiety and depression. And exercise is going to help that. It's going to reduce the symptoms of anxiety and depression. At the same time, regular exercise can improve physical health by reducing the risk of chronic diseases such as heart disease, stroke, and diabetes. What does stress lead to? Heart attacks, poor nutrition, heart attacks, lack of exercise, heart attacks, diabetes, strokes. So, but just by simply, I'll let you know what I do. I dedicate 30 minutes a day to movement. I don't like to call it exercise. I'll call it working out. I don't like to specifically call it certain things because then my mind is going to hook on to that, right? What I do for myself is 30 minutes of movement. What that looks like can be dancing one day. That can be walking another day. That can be weight training another day. That can be running, jogging, whatever it might be. But remember, the goal is to move. And I said 30 minutes a day. And my for the past 4 to 5 months, it's been 5 days a week consistently. Haven't missed a week. 5 to 6 days. That's what I've been doing. And I can tell you there has been a dramatic increase in my mental health. We have someone in the chat saying it leads to irritability for me. That's a first sign, right? I get so irritable when my mental health is feeling drained. When I'm starting to snap at people or even snap at myself, because I'm usually able to project pretty well and put on a pretty good face. Um, the problem becomes when I'm starting to get really critical on myself. And then when that starts overflowing and becoming a little snippy or a little snappy to other people, I'm anxious. And I can tell you exactly why. I felt that way this morning, felt that way the past couple of days. So jumping on this podcast actually felt really good because I'm kind of talking to myself. Um, because while even the exercise and the physical health were I was doing those things, there's other stuff in here that I'm going to talk about that also plays a huge role in my mental health. So if I'm feeling irritable, if I'm starting to lash out at people, lash out at myself, I know I need to start identifying things that have been happening the past couple days, weeks, even months to why I'm feeling this way. So exercise, that's what we talked about. Next up, we're going to talk about substance abuse. And I don't want to call it substance abuse. That's just in my notes here, right? Be conscious of what you are drinking and what you are smoking and how much you are doing those things. I find nothing wrong with smoking a little bit of marijuana. I don't do it anymore only because my mental health, right? My mental status is when I smoke and I suffer from derealization and depersonalization, both of them really bad when I get my anxiety and panic attacks. And what causes that? It's feeling separate from myself. And I just am aware of my mental status at this point. So I know doing those things in excess or even anything at this point, as far as smoking goes, isn't good for me. Now, if I go out to dinner, I'll have maybe an old fashioned or a glass of bourbon or whiskey with dinner, just for the moment, right? I like to enjoy my moment. I don't often like to just say I do this, I strictly do this. No, I allow myself wiggle room, but I am very, very conscious of how much I am consuming, because my mental health is my main priority. It's number one because when I'm operating at 90 to 100%, I am the best version of myself. And if I'm going to continually do things, take things, or whatever that make me operate lower than that, I'm not my best self. How am I expecting great results towards all the goals I have if I'm not putting in the work and making sure my mental health is number one, right? I don't know if you feel the same way, but oftentimes I linked substances and my mental health were directly linked to how I was feeling and how productive. And even if there was a quick spike, because I used to actually create stuff, I would smoke and create. And I loved doing that. I loved listening to music. I loved playing music. You can probably see the keyboard in my back, my guitar over there. I loved doing that. But I found out over time, it became really unproductive. I became very distracted. I wasn't focused. So, like I said, just keep an eye on what you are doing and how much you are doing it. Because direct correlation between substances and your mental health. For example, alcohol abuse can lead to liver disease, right? Other physical problems, which also lead to an increase in risk of anxiety and depression, right? You all know the Sunday scary feeling, right? You all know that isn't that just what a hangover is? It's just it's an anxiety induced, or it's a substance induced anxiety attack. That's what I used to think of my hangovers as. I'd wake up and be like, why would I do this to myself? And why would I do this to myself every weekend, 2 to 3 times a week? Why would I do that? Well, now I'm choosing not to. What else we got on the docket here? You even think chronic illness, right? Heart disease, diabetes, cancer can also have an impact on your mental health, obviously. But how do you prevent those things? It's by all the stuff we talked about: managing your stress, exercising, regular exercise, watching how much substances you don't do. Like, you're going to notice it. The disassociation for me is real when I'm not feeling in control of myself. And that's not like a micromanager control. I mean, I'm very self aware now. I'd say in my 20s, teens, and early now, like, I wasn't so sure of myself and who I was, the direction I wanted to go. I was like, oh, these are the times for figuring it out. That was always my excuse. I'll get it together. I'll learn. I'll figure it out. Well, I think I finally got to the point where, like, I figured it out and I was just actively going against everything that I knew was better for me. Raise your hand if you know that, right? If you're listening to this live, comment in the chat if you know what's best for you, but you actively act against it. It's not terrible, right? The first step is understanding that I know better. I know what is in my best interest. I know what my best self is. I'm just not doing it because it's hard work. Yo, it is hard work to be in service of your best self all the time. It's really hard. So understand that you don't have to be perfect, but understand that you are in service of your best self. Hello, everybody who is just joining. Thank you for jumping in here. So remember, physical or mental health and physical health are intertwined. That was the connection between mental and physical health. We're going to reverse that, and we're going to talk about the physical health and how it affects your mental health. How to do it. How to do it. Let's talk about tips. First things first, mindfulness. If you don't have a mindfulness practice that you enjoy or that you practice, I'd recommend finding one that works for you. That can be breath work, that can be meditation, that can be grounding, that can be walks in nature, whatever it might be for you. For me, sometimes I like to meditate traditionally, like whether it's laying down, sitting up. I like to close my eyes, maybe throw in some frequencies, 528, 432, any of those kind of things. And then I'll meditate for about 20 minutes. That's usually my max is 20 minutes. So 10 to 15 is my sweet spot. If I'm like in the groove, we're going to hit about 20 minutes. But I can't do that all the time. Sometimes my mind's racing. I need to be more active when I meditate. That's the misconception about meditation, is that you have to be sitting, hands out, eyes closed, and just constantly connected. That isn't it for people. I oftentimes get asked, I have ADHD, I can't meditate. I have ADD, can't meditate. I can't ever stop the thoughts. That's the point of finding a technique that works for you. Sometimes the internet's great, and sometimes the internet is very misleading. You don't have to meditate like everyone meditates. Like I said, go for a walk. I'm gonna break it down to you the best way I broke it down for myself. Meditation isn't being still and thinking of nothing. It's being present and being aware of the things you are thinking. It is being still, being present, being in this exact moment. And while you are thinking, you're observing the thoughts. You are not the thoughts. I'm sure you've heard that you are not your thoughts. You are the observer. You are awareness. I heard those things a million times until I understood them. I kept hearing them, and then I felt them. So when I'm having a bad day, it doesn't mean you're not going to feel the things that you feel, right? They're emotions, they're feelings, but you're going to learn how to label them and realize that you are not those things. You are not those feelings that keep that anger that builds up. The sadness, that's not you. It's just you're watching it and you're expressing it. You're feeling it, but that is not you. You are the thing observing those feelings and emotions. So practice mindfulness. It's going to massively help your mental health, especially the journey of discovering what mindfulness techniques work for you. It might It might be frustrating at first, but look at it as like a game, right? If your main goal is to improve your mental health, be happy, experience more joy, love, kindness, empathy, it's going to be hard work. Like I think we kind of have a misconception that happiness is easy. Happiness is the lack of anger. No, happiness is the choice. Happiness is the hard work and the payoff of everything, right? And happiness isn't always just laughing. It's not always just like feeling giddy. Happiness is being present. Happiness is understanding that you can observe the things around you and not be consumed by it. Feel like you have to have an opinion or a connection to everything. It's just being present. So practice mindfulness. That's going to help your physical health massively. We talk about stress, gone. During those times of being mindful, your stress is going to significantly reduce. If you're being mindful, exercise. Exercise is mindful. You are being present in that moment, right? Sometimes we use exercise as being an escape. And what you're doing is actually tuning in with your body. You're connecting your mind and your body. It's mindfulness, right? It's meditation. Exercise is meditation if you're present during your exercise. Remember that. A big one for taking care of your mental health positively impacts your physical health. Social support. That can be a coach. I do that, right? Mental and emotional wellness coaching. Huge. Therapy. Big supporter of therapy. Therapy has been a big part of my healing journey. Counseling. We mentioned coaching. Friends, family, being vulnerable, being understanding. Because I'll tell you what, when you get vulnerable, you're going to find out who your real friend and support circle are. Now, if you're able to understand that, not everybody is going to be your biggest supporter, and that's okay. Some people are there for the good times. They like to ride the waves. That's okay. Remember, it's not about them, it's about you. Because when you're feeling good, you might want to have them around, but when you're feeling bad, know who your people are and don't judge otherwise. Know who your people are when things get tough. And those are the people that you can seek that support for or support with. It's going to improve your mood. Which is going to positively impact your physical health. So having people you can talk to, coaching, counselors, therapy, friends, comments imagine how much your life would change if you only viewed content that helped your mental health. The type of people in those comments, 90% are going to be really good people, people that have your best interest in mind. Remember that. Engage in physical activity. We talked about it, exercise, but it doesn't have to be just exercise. It can be going to a show. It can be going to a festival. It can be going for walks. It can be going to the park. That is physical activity. Playing sports, obviously. All these things. Find stuff that lights your soul on fire. Maybe when you were a kid, you loved playing a certain game. You loved going to a certain park. You loved doing certain things. Remember that. Remember, we talked about your inner child and all those kind of things. We have a comment saying being vulnerable takes the most strength. Absolutely. You have to be vulnerable. Excellent point. Thank you, Rebecca. So remember, in my notes, we have regular and physical activity can improve mental health by reducing symptoms of depression and anxiety. You see the pattern here, right? Exercise is going to reduce physical. Listen to me. Exercise is going to reduce anxiety and depression. I know it's hard work, and we're often told, and sometimes social media just blasts it in our face that you have to do this, you have to consume this amount of macros, you have to have this amount of protein. Start so simple and understand this is how I did it, right? Because I was a former athlete and I thought working out was practice, it was work. I didn't want to show up. Once I found out I'm working out or I'm moving or I'm dancing or whatever I'm doing is for my mental health and everything else will just fall into place. It has changed everything. I don't work out for a six pack. I don't work out for big arms. I don't work out for a chiseled jawline. I don't do that. I work out because I know how much better I feel after I do it. I challenge you for, I want to say 2 weeks, but if 2 weeks is too long, try 1 week. 1 week, 5 days, 5 days during that week, 30 minutes a day. Go for a walk. Get your blood blood pressure, get your pulse, your heart rate up. There we go. We found it. Get your heart rate up. It's going, and at the end of that week, you're going to be like, wow, I feel so much better. Even if it's not like a crazy change, you're going to realize I'm working towards something, and it's my mental health. I'm choosing me. So engage in physical activity, because when you're engaging in physical activity, you're going to get that sleep. We talked about when you're not getting sleep, it's going to cause insomnia. It's going to cause things, you're going to be less productive. So physical activity, it makes sense, right? The more tired I am from working out, moving, getting the heart rate up, better I'm going to sleep. The only thing I would say is use caution with the time of day you do that. You don't want to be like going for a 2-mile walk and then be like, all right, time for bed. That's common sense. So your heart rate's going to be up. What does it say in my notes? Getting sleep is essential for both mental and physical health. Lack of sleep can contribute to mood disorders such as depression, anxiety, increase in the risk of chronic diseases such as obesity and diabetes. There's just such a common theme here, right? Take care of your physical health because it'll impact your mental health. If you're taking care of your mental health, you know what's going to impact your physical health. I'm going to talk about some self-reducing techniques, because stress can have a negative impact on both mental and physical health. So practicing stress reducing techniques such as deep breathing, meditation, yoga, all of this stuff is going to help your overall well-being. Go to Google, type in breath techniques for relieving anxiety. You'll find the 5-4-3-2-1 method. That's not the breathing technique. 4 in, 5 out, right? The 5-4-3-2-1 is to name 5 things you see, 4 things you hear, 3 things you smell, 2 things you touch, and 1 thing you taste. It's in that order, but that is for when you're having a panic anxiety attack. That's how to help bring you back. But that is a stress reducing technique. It helps ground you. Meditate. And this doesn't have to be for 10, 15 minutes a day. This can be for 2 minutes. You can, if you're having a tough day at work and you go sneak off to the bathroom, go sit in a stall and it'd be funny doing breath work, right? But that is for you. Take a moment to close your eyes and re-ground yourself. Because what happens when you're getting stress or anxiety or you're about to have a panic attack is you're just removed from the present moment. You're actually safe, but your mind is telling you you are not. So remember, one thing you need to do is ground yourself, come back to the present, and let yourself know you are okay. That is a great stress reducing technique. And lastly, and of course, seek professional help. We talk about coaching. Hey, it's me, somebody like you. Mental and emotional wellness coaching, right? Seek a counselor. Seek a therapist, right? We're all part of a tree. We're all branches on a tree. And that's to help you. So remember, seek professional help if you need it. There's no shame in asking for help. It's superpower. Do you think all the successful people in their lives got to where they are without any help? No. Successful people ask for help, not just in business, not just in sports, not just in whatever, for their mental health too. And this the stuff we talked about, right? I have my notes. It looks a little repetitive, so we're not going to have to go through all of this all over again, because I want to get to the somebody like you viewer submission question of the week, because it's a good one. We're going to exercise regularly, eat a balanced diet. So that means get your grains, lean proteins, whole grains. These are going to positively impact your mental health. Just be conscious of the fuel you are putting into your body, because gut health is directly related to, I'm going to call it head health, but you know what I mean. Remember, what you put in is your fuel for the day. Get enough sleep. As a coach, I recommend to every one of my clients, if you're having struggles sleeping, pick a bedtime, just like being a kid, right? Pick a bedtime, go to bed every day at that time, wake up at the same time every day. 1 hour before sleep, no screens. I know sometimes it's people like, well, I want to fall asleep to TV, and I understand that. I do that too. but I'm in bed at 9:30, 10 o'clock every day. Wake up 7:30 every day, right? That's a that's a good amount of sleep, and I need it, right? So if you're having trouble sleeping, put the screens down, put the phone down, put the tablet down, and it's going to force you to be alone with your thoughts for a little bit, which at first can be a little difficult, but you will soon realize that the sleep is going to be much better once you have created a routine for yourself. Limit the alcohol and substance use. We talked about that. Be aware of the habits you have because they're directly impacting your mental health. And we talked about it as well. Take breaks from your technology. Sometimes social media is just an endless pit of blech, right? Be conscious of the content you're consuming. The big one is the algorithms don't lie. They show you what you watch. You don't have to like it. You don't have to comment on it. You don't have to share it. If you watch something for 10 to 20 seconds, it's going to feed you more of that because you're telling the algorithm that this is what my eyes stay on. Be conscious of what your eyes stay on because that is going to impact your mood. That's going to impact how you feel, how you treat others, how you treat yourself. Watch what you watch, right? Take breaks from technology. The somebody like you, viewer submission of the week is how do I choose what gift to give myself in my free time without feeling guilty about not choosing the other choices? I'd like to thank Tara for this wonderful question because right sometimes we finally decide to treat ourselves and we're like, well, I want to do this, I want to do this, I want to eat that, I want to get a manicure, I want to get a pedicure, I want to go get this fast food, I want to do this, I want to ground yourself, right? We talked about it. We keep talking about it. Bring yourself back to the present. Because if your mind is everywhere, you're never going to actually treat yourself. You're going to cause yourself more anxiety about the things that you did not get to do. So, how do you do it? Take 10 deep breaths. This is just a little trick I do for myself 10 deep breaths. I'm not going to do that 10 times because no one wants to hear me breathe into a microphone for 10 deep breaths. But after those 10 deep breaths are up, you are so much more grounded and your gut is going to tell you, that's what I want. And now act on it. Don't let your mind get involved and be like, well, this isn't the perfect piece of the puzzle. What I really should be doing is this. What I really should be doing is that I said I was going to do this 7 years ago. Today is the day. Your gut told you, go do it. That's what your body needs, your mind needs. And then if you have time, treat yourself again. There's no limit on treating yourself. Now, if you have kids, there may be a time restraint. There might be a little bit of the Tetris involved, right? Well, I have an hour. I can get a manicure, a pedicure. Okay, I'll do that. Perfect. And then say you do that and you don't feel fulfilled. That's okay. Pay attention to it. This is all a journey, right? Maybe you're like, well, next time I want to treat myself. Maybe this isn't what I want to do. Maybe I go get that Starbucks coffee. Maybe I go sit at the library and find a book I want or a little bit of peace and quiet. These are the things. What we're trying to do is get out of here, get out of our mind and get into our body. Listen to what our body is telling us. Because after those 10 deep breaths, your body is going to be like, walk. Oh, okay. I'm going to go for a walk. And what you're training yourself to do is to learn to get out of your head into your body and connect them. That's the sweet spot, right? That is getting out of your head and into your body and then connecting the two. That is what we talk. That's what the goal is. That's where happiness is found. That's where being present is found. That's where being grounded is found. So remember, 10 deep breaths. It might not seem like this life-changing advice, but the more you connect your mind and your body, the more you are going to be present. The more you are present, the more sleep you're going to get, the more exercise you're going to do, the better you're going to feel. And I encourage you to journal this as well. So on those bad days, you can look back and say, well, after 3 days of doing this, this, and this, I really did feel good. Maybe I should do that again. When I first start with my coaching clients, I say check in with yourself 3 times a day: morning, afternoon, evening before you go to bed. Why? Well, because you're becoming present. I'd like to welcome all my viewers in from YouTube, from TikTok, from Instagram, from Facebook. We have a viewer, Beauty Bomb Mom, coming in from Alberta, Canada. I'd like to welcome you in as well. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you for everybody who is sending in the comments and sending all the love. I appreciate you all. We record on Tuesdays. We post on YouTube and Spotify and all the podcast platforms on Wednesdays. So if you're fortunate enough and supportive enough to be listening on the live today as we're recording, thank you so much. Thank you for choosing the time to look after your mental health. Thank you for taking the chance to choose you, right? You're not choosing me to be here. You're choosing yourself. We're talking about the connection between mental health and physical health. This isn't about me. This isn't always about how many views I get. This is about you choosing yourself. That's the magic, right? That's kind of what I am trying to help people through my coaching with is how do you choose you? We used to be taught to feel bad and be selfish, right? No, I wrote a book about it. It's called Respectfully Selfish: How to Become Respectfully Selfish by Ben Myers. If you're not aware and you just know me as somebody like you, my name is Ben Myers. Um, if you didn't know what my name was and you were just constantly like, this is just somebody like you, what did you think my name was if you had any guesses? I'm curious about that. Curious what this face gives off. Um, bro. But yeah, so remember, there are a few things that are going to help your mental and physical health. One is mindfulness, practice it. One is exercise, work on it. 30 minutes a day, move. It doesn't have to be, you don't have to light the world on fire. Get your body and your mind in the habit of moving. Let your mind know you choose you every day. And remember those rest days too. Like I said, 5 days, 30 minutes. Go for a walk, dance around a little bit. Just get the heart rate up. Sleep, get enough sleep. Watch the substances you consume, whether that be through drinking or smoking, right? Just be conscious. I'm not condemning having a drink with work. I'm not condemning coming home from work and have a nice little joint. I'm not condemning them. I'm just saying be conscious because your mental health is going to, the more you disconnect from yourself, the more you disconnect from your mental health. The more you disconnect from yourself, the more you disconnect from your mental health. That felt good. That felt like it connected for me. So yeah, once again, I'd like to give a shout out to the sponsor of this podcast, and that is Somebody Like You Mental and Emotional Wellness Coaching over here at if you are looking, sorry, I was just checking some of the chats. If you are looking for my YouTube, you can check it. It is in the bio, and it is under Somebody Like You as well. So thank you so much for everybody jumping in here. If you're just joining me, like I said, this podcast is sponsored by Somebody Like You, mental and emotional wellness coaching. What we do over there is we are tour guides on your mental health journey. We are working with you side by side. So if you have questions about therapy, we're here to answer them. I'm not a therapist, but I can sure as hell answer questions about therapy and what to maybe look for. What are some qualities and characteristics that you want to look out for when choosing a therapist? How to choose a therapist? That's the beauty of being a coach, right? Sometimes with therapy, with therapy, there's a big disconnect from you and the client, and that's necessary, right? With coaching, it's more of a relationship. Talked about that in the beginning. It's more of a relationship between the coach and the client because it's a little bit of hand holding. My favorite day of coaching is when I'm told they no longer need a coach because that means I helped someone help themselves. I helped someone learn how to help themselves. And the best way I know how to do that is through building a connection, a relationship with people, building trust. That's how I prefer to do it, right? I've had therapists, and I'm a big supporter of therapy. I look at us as a therapist, a counselor, a coach, all of those things being branches on one big tree of healing, self help. I love to be part of that team. I love how to do this. So that's what we were talking about. Oh, and first off, or I say first off as we're almost done the podcast, right? Mental Health Awareness Month in May. If anybody is interested, I put it on my Instagram, but I'm running 50% off for the entire month of May for my sessions. Because that is a way I feel I can help give back to my community, um, give back to the community that gives so much to me. So 50% off every session in the month of May. So if you want to do once a week, once a day, whatever it might be, it's all 50% off every bit of it for the month of May, because month of May is where we want to celebrate ourselves, taking care of our mental health. And I know for a fact, me included, sometimes price, if not most of the time, price is a big obstacle to take care of your mental health, and it shouldn't be. So if you are looking to do that, shoot me a message on whether it be Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, whatever it may be, and I will get in contact with you. Also, you can go to somebodylikeyou.org. That is my website, and it will tell you can contact me. Has all my links to my socials on there as well. So somebodylikeyou.org, if that is something you are looking for as well. And we might be shutting down this podcast a little early because I have plumbers on the way. Our plumbing is all jacked up, and I don't want to leave the pretty lady that I call my roommate and my fiance hanging for too long. So, if you are looking, like I said, for a little bit of help, looking for anything, be sure to check out somebodylikeyou.org and send me a note. Shoot me a message on my Instagram, my Facebook, or my TikTok, Twitter, all of it, LinkedIn. So, everybody, thank you so much for tuning into this podcast. I'm so happy to be here to help you. From all of the friends at Somebody Like You Mental and Emotional Wellness Coaching, thank you for being here. And we will catch you on the next podcast. Remember, take care of yourself because your mental health and your physical health are connected. I will talk to you all in the next one. Have a great rest of your day. Peace out.